the stage from London, England, Ashley Blaker.
In fact, it's lovely to be in a proper comedy club, because I used to perform a lot in shawls. And, yeah, you're ahead of me. It does come with a few drawbacks, performing in shawls. For a start, you can always guarantee at least half the audience will arrive nice and early. I think it's because all Jews want to try and get a good parking space. You wouldn't want to have to walk for more than 10 seconds, would you? We live literally a 2-minute walk from a kosher Chinese restaurant. And whenever my parents go there for dinner, I always say to them, why don't you park on our driveway? But they never do. My dad isn't happy unless he's parked virtually within the restaurant itself. I always say to them, it's a 2-minute walk, you've got legs. And then my dad replies with the most Jewish line possible. What's the point in driving if I've then got to walk? It won't surprise me if my dad hired a crane to lift him out of the car and deposit him into the restaurant. You can absolutely guarantee it was a Jewish person that came up with the idea of valet parking. I actually Googled it. Apparently, valet parking was invented in Los Angeles in the 1940s by a man called Herb Citron. Didn't say whether he was Jewish or not, but both his son and grandson were rabbis. I think so. I think it's a fair chance. The gentleman in the front, good evening. What's your name?
David.
David, nice to meet you, David. And how did you get here tonight then, David?
Friends.
No. Drove. Someone drove. Yeah.
We got a great spot. Too.
Great spot. How far? Oh, really? How far away, David? How far?
As close as you can get.
How far?
How far?
On the corner.
Yes.
And then you called an Uber. Thanks for making the effort, David. So I used to perform in shawls. People would arrive early, trying to get good parking space. And then, massive mistake, the posters included the one word you should never mention. Refreshments. And then you know how the Jewish brain works. What if the flat soda and stale leftover cake from Kiddush is all gone? It's not that I'm greedy, but the poster said refreshments. I might as well have them, thank you very much. And then to make matters worse, shawls never sell tickets with seat numbering. So now you've got everybody to kind of turning up early because they want to get a good seat. You know, I don't want to sit at the back because they're not going to be able to hear him. But I don't want to sit right at the front because they're going to pick on me all night like he's going to do tonight to David. But don't want to sit in the middle near the Goldsteins because we're broigus with them because they didn't invite us to their son's bar mitzvah. Now add to all of this the fact that some of the places I've been to, the Jewish people living there were mostly quite old. You know, nothing wrong with that. I like performing for older people. I'm making money and I feel like I'm doing a mitzvah at the same time. Sometimes they nod off. Not a problem, I can try out some new bits, no one's the wiser. During one gig last year, I actually davened Mariv halfway through. It was great, no one seemed to notice. But one problem with older people is, they're even more inclined to get to things early. I have no idea why this is. They've got less time left. Don't waste it sitting around waiting for me to start. So anyway, take Jews, plus parking, plus refreshments, plus unnumbered seats, plus old people, equals half the audience arriving for a show that starts at 8 o'clock at 5:30. So when I do a show in a shul, I would be setting up while being watched by 15 senior citizens having their soda and pretzels. I mean, I don't want to sound arrogant, but does Jerry Seinfeld have to put up with this? You know, I've been trying to do a mic test and feel obliged to have a chat. Start working the room, what's your name? Where'd you come from? That's a nice new hip, where'd you get it done? By the time I got on stage, I'd basically done an entire show already. So very nice to be here at Stand Up New York. And I know one downside of being in a comedy club is you're more likely to get hecklers. But again, not a problem, I can handle that. I used to perform on the London comedy circuit, and I had some horrible gigs, which mostly involved a drunk man swearing at me. But then I told my dad to stop coming and sing him through. Also, without wanting to sound really self-important, it is just lovely to have a proper dressing room. Because while I do enjoy meeting people, David, and having a chat, if you don't have a dressing room, you finish performing and immediately have a line of people waiting to speak to you. And these aren't ordinary people who just want to shake your hand and say goodnight. These are Jews. We always want something. I've lost count the number of times I've heard, my granddaughter is doing media studies, can you get her a job at the BBC? What do you honestly expect me to say? Of course, would Executive Vice President of Programming be okay? To be honest with you, I don't mind people asking for jobs. Anything is better than those words that, trust me, no comedian ever wants to hear, especially when he's just finished performing. Here's one for you. You can use this one next time. Why is it half the audience always want to tell me a joke? You've come to a comedy show. Let the comedian tell the jokes. You have a night off. You don't go see a Broadway show and wait for the actors and go, here's a soliloquy for you. You can say this one next time. You don't go for an appointment with a urologist and ask to inspect his privates. Well, I do, but most people don't. And why is it none of these jokes are ever one-liners? Instead, everybody wants to tell me the world's longest joke. And then, they can't even remember them. Yet, there was a rabbi and a priest, not a priest, an imam, and they're driving a car across America, and the rabbi's driving, not the rabbi, the imam's driving the car, and I'm standing there listening to about 250 of these in a row. And when I thought, the worst aspect, the absolute worst aspect about performing in a show is they never give you a proper stage. Instead, you turn up and discover you're standing on a box. And I actually do need a proper stage to walk about on, not least because I recently took out a new life insurance policy with Prudential. And as part of the policy, I have to carry with me this Fitbit, which counts my steps, and basically to keep my insurance premium low, I've got to do a certain number of steps each day, proves that I'm staying healthy. In fact, it's totally true. The insurance salesman who sold me this policy, he's an Orthodox Jew, and he genuinely told me that I should always take the Fitbit to shul with me, because he discovered that it records a step every time you shuckle. You should see me now in shul, shuckling away. I'm like a Hasidic Rebbe being struck by lightning. My rabbi must watch me in shul and think, wow, look at Ashley, what a holy guy, he's dubbing him with such passion. I'm not. I'm just trying to keep my insurance down. This is me, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes, 12,500 steps. The shame is, of course, that if I did daven properly, then maybe I wouldn't need the insurance policy. The other shame, of course, is the day on which I do the most walking is Shabbos, when I'm not allowed to use the Fitbit. And I did call Prudential and try and explain this to them, but the Indian customer service guy I got through to, he didn't want to know. He said to me, but Mr. Blaker, I noticed, according to our records, you live in a part of London which has an Eruv. I thought, okay, impressive knowledge there, Steve. But while you're right, while I do live in an Eruv, the Fitbit is still muksa, and I'm not allowed to use it on Shabbos. Bless him, he didn't understand. But I got even with him anyway, because what I did was, I changed my security question. Probably shouldn't tell you that, but I feel I'm among friends. Am I among friends? Are we friends, David? If you can't see David's face, that's the face of someone thinking, please don't talk to me again. I really don't want to be involved tonight, and I'm currently regretting sitting so close to the stage. Don't worry, Dave. So I changed my security question. So my security question used to be, what's your mother's maiden name? Pretty standard. But I changed it so that now, when I ring up Prudential, before I can access my account, they have to ask me, if an onion was cut with a milchig knife, and then placed in a flacic pot cooking on a stove, what is the law concerning the contents of the pot? And then to clear security, I have to reply, if the volume of the meat was less than 60 times the absorbed dairy flavour, then the entire contents of the pot is prohibited. However, if the volume of the meat is more than 60 times the absorbed dairy flavour, then according to most opinions, the contents of the pot is permitted, and if the contents is permitted if the onion can first be removed. Come on, that's better than what's the name of your first pet, isn't it? The annoying thing is sometimes I make a very slight mistake and they won't let me through. But it's still worth it just to hear the guy on the phone say milkshake. Never fails to make me laugh. So anyway, now we're all a little bit more relaxed. Thought I'd get on with what I'm really here for tonight. So the Gemara in Maseches Yevamos, Daf Mem Zayin on the base. I think I've panicked a few, yeah? How brilliant would it be if I did just give a Gemara sheet now? Have you heard of a thing, David? If people laugh, they're encouraging me. I'll do it more. Again, have you heard of something called a warrant sting? Do you know what that is? Not a trick question. It's something I didn't know about this until recently. There's this thing that lots of police forces do in the United States. And in particular, they do this in Miami. If they've got a load of suspected criminals who have avoided arrest, what they'll do is they'll write to them claiming they've won Dolphins tickets or something, and they've got to go and collect them at a certain place and time, and there'll be cheerleaders and music, and it'll look genuine, and then the police will lock the doors, come out and arrest them. And I thought it'd be great if this was like a Jewish version of that. You know, if all the local rabbis got together and thought, right, we've got all these people in the New York area, they won't come to a shiur. We've tried everything. We've had education events, we've had films, you've probably had rabbi saps at some point. They won't come. Here's an idea. Why don't we organise a comedy show? They'll think it's genuine, we lock the doors, make them sit through a Gemara shit. It's a clever idea, isn't it, Dave? But genuinely, just so I can get a flavour for the audience tonight, just by a round of applause, give me a round of applause if you go to shul literally just like once a week. Round of applause, 1, 2, 3. Yes. Gentleman here. What's your name?
Avi.
Avi, nice to meet you, Avi. Yeah, about once a week?
I'm more than that, but...
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Avi.
Don't want to be too enthusiastic. Don't want to be too enthusiastic, do you, Avi? Don't want to give the rabbi any ideas about you. That's what happened to me, Avi. I turned up once or twice too often, and the rabbi thought, aye, I've got one in. 3 weeks later, I look like this. Keep doing what you're doing. What about more often then? Give me a round of applause if you go to shul every day. Who's every day? Round 1, 2, 3. Yeah, a young man here. What's your name? Yehuda. Nice to meet you. Every day? Yeah. And is that because you're a real frummy Yehuda? Or is it because you think so? You know what? I pay my shul membership. I want to get my money to it. I'm going every day. It's a very Jewish attitude. That's why I go every day. I go 3 times a day. I really want to get my money to it. All right, what about less often then? Give me a round of applause if it's just Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and even then you spend most of the time chatting outside. 1, 2, 3? No one ever wants to admit that, do they? Don't worry if that's you, by the way. I am not here to judge. I'm really not. You know, if eternal damnation's your thing, be my guest. The only thing I will say, by the way, if that is you, and you only want to go shul twice a year, spread them out a bit. You know, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are like 8 days apart. Spread them out. Go once in January, once in July. Also, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, would you agree, Yehuda? They're quite long, dull services, aren't they? You know, if I was going to go to shul twice a year, I'd go Purim and Simchas Torah. Go for the fun ones. Alright, finally, a round of applause. Anyone who's got absolutely no idea about anything I've been talking about so far, and is currently sat here thinking, what's Yom Kippur? Because if there is, I feel very bad for you. This is going to be a long night. But seriously, I am not a judgmental person. Because I like to think I am a very good example of the phrase, never judge a book by its cover. Because you would never guess, looking at me, unless you knew otherwise, that I am actually a Hare Krishna. I'm just very bad at it. Orange is not my colour. And by the way, David, do you know who invented Hare Krishna?
George Harrison.
George Harrison. I think he was a Hare Krishna. I'm not sure he invented it, but I don't know. No, I don't know myself. I'm assuming it was a Mr. Harold Krishna. But whoever it was an absolute genius. Absolute genius. Because he really understood how to do outreach. You know, he realised that if you want to get a load of random strangers to start praying with you in the middle of a big city, you've got to make the prayers pretty simple. You know, there's not a lot of knowledge to acquire here. It's just Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Brilliant. You know, no long doubling to learn, different brachas to remember. It's Berei B'Yad Dama for bananas, it's Berei B'Yad for apples, it's just Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Now I think Judaism can learn a lot of other religions like this. Think how many more people we'd be able to get involved in doubling if our prayers just consisted of noodle kugel, noodle kugel, kugel kugel, noodle noodle. You see Chabad guys on the street putting tefillin on men. Too long, too involved. It should just be, are you Jewish? If they say yes, give them a tambourine or a drum, let them come and sing the noodle kugel song. Noodle kugel, noodle kugel, kugel kugel, noodle. Come on, daven with me now. Let's all daven together. Come on, noodle kugel, noodle kugel, kugel kugel, noodle noodle. Oh, hang on, sorry, please, hang on, please. Just the men, please. Come on, this isn't a conservative show, please. Now, clearly I am a bit of a frummy now, like you Yehuda, but I don't mind telling you, I am what we call a Baal Teshuvah, means I didn't grow up this way. But I always like to tell people that even when I was growing up, even when I was furthest away from being observant, there was always one commandment that I took very seriously and never ever transgressed. Believe it or not, in all my years growing up, I never, at any point ever, coveted my neighbour's ox. Which is amazing, because you should have seen, he did have a particularly nice one. You know, I was performing somewhere last year, and when I said I'm about to shiver, the audience broke into a little round of applause. It was lovely, it felt so nice. It felt exactly what I imagined it would feel like to go on the Oprah Winfrey show. You know, someone would go on Oprah and say, yeah, Oprah, I used to be a heroin addict, but I've been off the smack for 5 years. Made me want to go on Oprah myself. I thought I could go on and say, yeah, Oprah, I used to be addicted to Ben and Jerry's Chunky Monkey, but I've been off the non-supervised milk for 3 years. Quick tip, by the way, if any of you are addicted to non-Cholav Yisrael, non-supervised ice cream and want to quit, trust me, the only things that works is cold turkey. Because then your flesh, you can can't eat the ice cream. It's obvious when you think about it. I've said a bracha before. I have to say that, you know, because totally true. I was doing this show Off-Broadway through the summer, and after one performance, an older lady came up to me and said, I just couldn't enjoy the show because quite early on you had a drink and you didn't say a bracha. And I said, well, I said one before. She said, but you didn't tell us that. And he said, after that I just couldn't enjoy it anymore because I thought maybe you weren't genuine. I thought, really? What, you think I walk around like this for fun? So anyway, I didn't want you to think I'm a complete fraud. I did say a bracha. I mean, it was great to be a goth then, because I'm a bit of a fraud. Not a complete fraud. So anyway, what else can I tell you? I'm married. Sorry ladies, this ship has sailed. Admittedly, in my case, it's more of a pedal boat. It's not easy actually being married to a teacher. We can be sat reading and suddenly my wife will look at me and say, would you sit like that at home? I would say, we are at home. The worst is when we have visitors, the bell rings and before I can move a muscle, my wife will say, the bell doesn't dismiss you, I do. You think I'm joking? A few years ago, my wife went on a school trip and I thought, great, I'm going to have a whole week to myself, only to find out she'd organised a substitute wife. It was actually really good, because we knew she was only around for a week, so we just goofed around and gone before she learned any of our names. It was great. And we currently live in the shtetl of Edgware in northwest London. Oh, some applause for Edgware, yeah? You some fellow Edgwareans over there? Hendon, okay, not far. And now we used to live, actually when we first got married, in a different part of London called Muswell Hill. But we gradually became a little bit frummer, to the point whereby I felt that we really need to move somewhere with an Eruv, so I could show everyone how frum I am by not using it. And very nice place actually, Muswell Hill. You know Muswell Hill over there? So it's a nice place. And one of these very traditional shuls, where you go in on Rosh Hashanah in your people, and they'd have at the front of the building a table about one of the size of one of these small tables for the twice a year people to leave their cell phones on during the service. Genuinely, this is what I had in my old shul. You would walk in and literally the very first thing you see when you walk in the building would be this table with lots of cell phones on, all with little coat room tickets attached. I remember the first time I saw it, I genuinely thought they were going to have a raffle. Which you laughed, but you would get a few more people staying to the end of Ne'ilah on Yom Kippur if they thought there was a chance they may go home with the new iPhone X. It'd be great to hear the rabbi calling out 275! And you're not entirely sure whether you've just won the Samsung Galaxy or that's just a page number in the matzah. And actually, like, we have this kind of stuff going on in my shul as well. I was in my very, very orthodox shul one Shabbos morning, and it was silent Musaf Amida, totally quiet, could have heard a pin drop. And then suddenly, interrupting the silence, dun 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 dun. Not just a cell phone, the theme tune to Happy Days. And the brilliant thing is, this poor guy, he was completely paralysed with embarrassment. Didn't know what to do, didn't want to answer it, so he just let it ring. We got the whole thing. And I remember the rabbi was taking the service and just ploughed on as if nothing had happened. I thought he missed an opportunity. If that had been me, I'd have had to turn around and go, "Eeeh." But seriously, quick bit of advice, if any of you have a novelty ringtone, always make sure it's something appropriate for the occasion. My phone went off during my son's bris, and it was the first cut is the deepest, and didn't sound good. So what else can I tell you about myself? I'm a complete panicker, always worrying about my health. David, you like that? A little bit. There's a guilty looking bit. I bet I'm worse than you though, David. The internet has been a terrible invention for me. Because now, as soon as I feel ill, I am straight online Googling the symptoms. In the last year, I've self-diagnosed everything from the Ebola virus to Dutch elm disease. Honestly, everyone who knows me will tell you I'm a complete hypochondriac. Even my gynecologist says so. But while I'm quite a typical Jewish man in some sense, I think I'm quite unusual in some other ways. You're probably getting a flavour of that, David. For example, I currently daven in a Hasidic stiebel, which is all Streimelach, you know, the big furry hats and silk coats and white stockings. And I bet I've got to be the only member of the shul to have done a PhD in early modern church history and Christian theology. For some reason, none of the Vishnitzers went down that route. I'm also unusual because surely I've got to be the only person in the world who works in TV who doesn't themselves actually own a TV. And in case you're wondering, this is genuinely how I go to work at the BBC, and I really haven't had too many problems with anti-Semitism. And I should say, I did have problems with anti-Semitism when I was younger. Remember very clearly coming in one day from school, crying because I'd been bullied at school for being Jewish. At a Jewish school as well, which is makes it a bit worse. And I remember my father was very kind, sat me down, put his arm around me, and he said to me, "Ashley," he knew me, obviously. He said to me, "Ashley, don't cry, you're going to find throughout your life there will always be people who hate you. Because you're a jerk." You know, I told that story at a show last year, and a lady came up to me afterwards and asked, was that story true? And it was my mum, and she wasn't very impressed. But no, seriously, I've had problems with anti-Semitism, and with anti-Semitism, I couldn't say that word for a moment. And I know people will tell you anti-Semitism is on the rise in the UK and Europe. In fact, I don't know if you saw this, David, but we recently actually had a big demonstration in London about anti-Semitism, and I wasn't able to go, but they had a report about it in the paper. And they had a photo of Theresa May, our Prime Minister, holding up a Je suis Juif sign. Did you see this, David? She was holding up the Je suis Juif sign, which I thought was very nice of her. But I wondered if she realised that in the Reformed synagogue, holding up a Je suis Juif sign actually completes conversion. And Theresa May is now officially Jewish. In the Reformed synagogue. I'm joking. We got any Reformed Jews in tonight? Oh, well then I'm not joking. Anyway, I digress. So rising anti-Semitism, keep reading how there are now men who are scared to wear a kippah in public, wear under a baseball hat. Now, I can only speak for myself, but I'm not entirely sure if most non-Jewish people know what all this Jewish dress means. I was in hospital last year, and the nurse walked into the room and looked at me and said, "Oh, you're having the halal meal, aren't you?" I thought, blimey, clearly I still don't look Jewish enough. Honestly, people don't get it. I was chatting with someone at the BBC, and I just made a passing reference to God. And this woman looked at me completely open-mouthed and said, "You don't believe in God, do you?" I thought, what do you think these are? A fashion statement? I didn't get up this morning and think, oh yeah, everyone's wearing string hanging out of their pants in Paris and Milan this year. You know, what do you think these are for? I don't have them because the backs of my ears get cold. Oh, you're Jewish. We just thought you were a Williamsburg hipster. You know what, right? I don't know if it's just me, let me just say, I don't know if it's just me, but I've always thought there is no bigger giveaway that someone's Jewish than seeing a man walking in the city wearing a very smart suit and a baseball hat. Because I don't know if anyone here does this, right? But if this is you, I'm afraid to say I'm not entirely sure if your attempts to blend in will have been that successful. Because I hate to break the news to anyone here who does this, but men in suits don't wear baseball hats. You know, if you're walking down Wall Street and you see a man wearing a very smart suit, double cuff shirt, silk tie, expensive shoes, then topped off with a New York Yankees baseball hat, he is clearly either an Orthodox Jew trying to hide it, or he's going to a costume party as a very bad Eminem. No non-Jew is ever going to be fooled by this. You know, can a baseball hat even make you look less Jewish? David, right, who would you say is the most Jewish-looking man here? Well, it's me, isn't it? Rhetorical question. So, David, you think I look Jewish? I mean, I look pretty Jewish, right? We all think I look... Yeah, I think we all think I look pretty Jewish. Okay. Right? Look at me. Look pretty Jewish. Look at me now. Don't look Jewish at all, don't. Now I look like Dr. Dre. Straight out of Borough Park. Let's be honest, only an absolute grade A idiot would ever go around wearing a suit and a baseball hat. Don't believe me? Oh, always splits the room. The New York Post described me as John Oliver in a yarmulke, so I'm now obliged to do some Trump joke. Now, I don't admit it, I did once buy a baseball hat, it was this one in fact. It was a few years ago. I took my sons to Chessington World of Adventures for the day. It's a theme park and zoo, David, just south of London. And we went on the Safari Skyway ride, which is this monorail that goes around the zoo. And it was a very windy day, and my kippah blew off and fell in the gorilla's enclosure. And in that circumstance, and that's one circumstance only, I think it is fair to go to the Chessington gift shop and buy yourself a baseball hat. And in case you're wondering, yes, one of the gorillas did put it on. And yeah, he looked pretty good in a big black velvet kippah. And in fact, I kept meaning to go back to Chessington to see how he was getting on. Because I know from personal experience how these things can start. You know, it starts with just wearing a kippah. Thought I could handle it. What's the harm? I can quit when I like. But I was soon on to the hard stuff. Sits this black hat, 2 months later I was hooked. When your rabbi asks you to make up a minyan, just say no. It wouldn't surprise me to go back to Chester and find that gorilla is now a proper fruity and has learned his way through the Talmud twice over. And in fact I was quite scared because I've seen Planet of the Apes, so I know how it develops. You know, it starts with a gorilla and a kippah, he becomes frum, he converts his friends, they all become frum, they have loads of kids, they build their own shuls. 2 years later you can't get a flight to Israel anymore because it's entirely full of frum gorillas. Or maybe they're now Hasidic, maybe they're Hasidic gorillas. I suppose one good thing is you don't have to spend $2,000 on a furry hat when your entire head is furry to begin with. Maybe they're Gera gorillas, or gorillas. Actually, just thinking about it, what if the gorillas that put it on was a female? I wouldn't have known the difference. I might have inadvertently started an ape reform movement. But anyway, that's why I once bought a baseball. But normally the motivation is to hide being Jewish, that's the idea. So you know what I like to do, right? When I'm walking in the city and I see a man wearing a suit and a baseball hat, you know what I like to do? I like to give him a nod. Just a little nod to say, you might fool some people, but you're not fooling me. If I'm feeling particularly cruel, I'll go up to him really loudly going, Avrami! Shalom Aleichem, Reb Yid! Didn't recognise me in the baseball hat. You going to a costume party? The only thing is, I did this recently and it backfired. Turned out the man wasn't actually Jewish. Just a man who likes wearing a New York Yankees baseball hat. I should have guessed, because you don't actually get a lot of Ethiopian Jews living in London. His name wasn't Yossi, it was Jamal. I think he thought I was mentally ill, which possibly I am. And also, if you are going to do this right, and try and hide a kippah under a baseball hat, you've got to make sure you don't fall at the first hurdle and give the game away by mistake. A few months ago, I was on the London Underground, and this man got on at Golders Green Station, wearing a suit and a baseball hat. And I thought, okay, he's making a bit of an attempt to stay incognito. And then he sat down opposite me, reached into his bag and pulled out a book with all Hebrew writing on it, and started learning Mishnayos. And I thought, if we ever went to war, you wouldn't want this man in the camouflage unit. I felt like tapping him on the knee and saying, look around this train. Very few of the non-Jews on this train are currently learning Mishnah Pesachim. Honestly, some people are absolutely terrible at staying concealed. I was doing this show a couple of years ago in London, and I asked the audience, anyone here go to work wearing a suit and a baseball hat? And this man put up his hand, and we got chatting, and it turned out he was a teacher, and he said he teaches mostly Muslim kids, and he didn't want to know he's Jewish. Fair enough. And I said to him, well, what kind of baseball hat do you wear? What's on it? And I promise this is true. He said, I wear one with an Israeli flag on it. I am not making this up. And I said to him, well, surely the kids now know you're Jewish. He said, no, none of them know. I thought, how dumb are these kids? Turned out it was a school for the blind, so it wasn't. Somebody heckled me a few months ago, going, hang on, if they were blind, they wouldn't have seen a kippah either. True, but it's called comedy. I get some unusual people in my audiences. This is also totally true. I was doing another show in London last year, and I was talking about spotting other Jews in public. And this lady on the front row started heckling me and said, oh no, you know what I do? If I meet someone and I'm not sure if they're Jewish or not, I just go up to them and say, are you? I said, I don't understand, what do you mean? She said, no, I just, very discreetly go up to them and say, are you? Which I love. I'd love to do this myself. But the trouble is, I work in show business. And it struck me, do I really want to be going up to other men at the BBC saying, are you? Because I am. And I was hoping you might be too. I thought they might get the wrong idea about me. Now let me just say at this point, in case you haven't guessed, I'm sure you have, but I don't work in outreach, okay? So I will be honest and admit that there are some downsides to wearing a kippah in public. For a start, whenever I'm out, say, doing the shopping, I can always guarantee at least one non-Jewish person will come up to me and say, Shalom. For a laugh, I sometimes reply, Aleikum assalam. It not half confuses me. And most of the time, they just turn out to be very well-meaning, but incredibly overbearing non-Jewish Zionists who spot me in the supermarket and start calling out to me from about 5 hours away. Shalom, my brother, shalom! I always pretend not to hear them, but start walking in the opposite direction. But they don't give up that easily. Shalom, my brother, shalom! Eventually, I've run out of aisles, and he's pinned me up against the freezer cabinet. Shalom, my brother. Now, I just want to tell you, I've studied the Old Testament, and it says there that the land of Israel was given to Abraham by Elohim, and you're not to give up 1 inch of that land. You hear me, my brother? You don't give up 1 inch. And I always say to them, look, I'm incredibly flattered that you think I'm that influential. But it really isn't down to me. Netanyahu has never rung me up and said, yeah, actually, we're thinking about giving up more settlements to the Palestinians. Just needed to get your opinion first. Oh, Bibi, I'm glad you called. Because normally I'd say, of course, anything to help the peace process. But I was in ShopRite this morning. Yeah, the Edgware branch, yeah. So anyway, that's what happens when I'm out doing the shopping. But I haven't had too many problems going to work looking like this. And in fact, I can tell you, the biggest problem I have nowadays is just with women in TV. Because you can imagine meetings nearly always start with being offered a hand to shake, which I'm sure you know is something which Orthodox Jews try not to do with people of the opposite sex, apart from their spouse. So I've spent years going into meetings with a bag in one hand and a coat in the other, and then when offered a hand to shake, I go, Sorry. But then a few years ago, my rabbi gave me a very, very strict book called 9 to 5. I've actually got it today. 9 to 5, a guide to modest conduct for today's workplace, ironically named after a Dolly Parton song. It's a very strict book, this book. And it says in this book, so shaking hands with someone of the opposite sex is not only forbidden rabbinically, but it is a biblical prohibition. And the upshot of this, it says in black and white, no word of a lie, it's on page 14. It says one is required to give up one's life before shaking hands with someone of the opposite sex, apart from their spouse. Now, about a week after reading this, I went to pitch a show at the BBC. And when I walked into the room, the lady I was meeting stuck out her hand to me to shake. And I noticed over her shoulder that the window of this 6th floor meeting room was wide open. And I suddenly remembered the book. And I thought to myself, maybe this is my moment. Maybe this is my test. Maybe I should make a run for the window shouting, Shema Yisrael. And it did cross my mind it would be the greatest headline ever seen in a British newspaper. TV producer dies Al Kiddush Hashem at BBC headquarters. Obviously I'm stood here, so clearly I thought better of it. I threw her out the window instead. In case any of you are troubled by that, by the way, although I picked her up, I didn't touch her hand. That's the main thing. Also, I don't want to speak too badly about this book. He does have one practical suggestion. Again, totally true. It's on page 15. He says, when a lady or a man, if you're a woman, sticks out a hand, why not give them a business card? Which sounds quite a good idea when you first read it. What he doesn't address is what happens half an hour later at the end of the meeting. She sticks out her hand again, you have to go, oh yes, sorry, I changed my cell phone number during the meeting. Then what happens when you meet 6 months later? Basically you have to keep changing your cell phone in order to justify keep giving out the cards. It's either that you have lots of different cards, each with 1 digit of your number. At least that way you can avoid shaking hands 11 times. And also this is a very strict book, so he only discusses women who want to shake your hand. He can't even contemplate what I face. Touchy-feely media types who not only want to shake my hand, for some unknown reason want to kiss this face. Not even my wife wants to do that. Alright, don't laugh too much. The fitness of it. And at least the thing with a handshake, you can spot it coming, but a kiss can take you by surprise. I've had to develop lightning reflexes. And I've actually perfected the kind of defensive moves Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard would have been proud of. Seriously, you should see me in meetings where women come at me, I dodge left, a duck right, a bob, a weave, I float like a butterfly, sting like a Maccabee. Now, one thing you can do, of course, is just don't put yourself in any social situations ever. So for that reason, I've literally never ever been to an awards ceremony, even though I've won several awards, but I have decided if I ever absolutely guarantee knew I was going to win an Emmy, then I am going to go, just because I'd love to hear them saying on TV, that's Ashley Blaker there, just opening his kosher meal. He managed to get the wrapping off the traditional soup without too much spilling. But he seems to be struggling with the main course because it's double saran wrap and the second layer has fused to the side of the container and is now impossible to get off without covering the cast of Veep in stewed beef. The other thing you can do is always go to a meeting with my good friend and collaborator, star of Little Britain, Doctor Who and Bridesmaids, Matt Lucas. Because he is just brilliantly upfront about it. Every time Matt Lucas and I have ever been together for a meeting with a woman, he's gone straight in and said, I'm Jewish. But he's a real Jew. He's not going to shake your hand. Go on, stick your hand out, see what he does. Go on, stick it out. He won't shake it. The brilliant thing is that does work. The downside is paying for the TV star Matt Lucas to come to every meeting with me. It's a little bit out of my price range. The other thing, of course, you can do is go to every meeting with this. Hi, how do you do? Give me 5. Fist bump. I do really like using this. The trouble is, they search your bag when you go into the BBC. Try explaining to the security guard why you're carrying a false arm. Even worse is when I try and explain the real reason that I don't touch any women apart from my wife, because it might lead to an inappropriate relationship between us. Because when you do that, you do run run the risk of coming across as rather arrogant. Yeah, I would shake your hand, but the trouble is, because I am so irresistible, I can't take the risk that once you touch me, you're not going to be able to take your hands off me. Can I go around saying that? For a start, look at me, don't laugh. And the logic of this is great for my ego, because I've worked with some incredibly attractive actresses and TV stars over the years, and essentially, I snubbed them. A few years ago, I was working with FHM's then third sexiest woman in the world, Katy Perry. Who knows what might have happened between us if I hadn't refused that advert? Stranger things have happened. Possibly not that strange. At the very least, she might have recorded the song, I Shook Hands With a Jew and I Liked It. But I can understand why the rabbis were so concerned about it, because shaking hands can be quite intimate. I mean, every time I see my wife, we always greet each other with a firm handshake. If it's a really romantic night, we'll shake hands for hours. The irony is, such a shame, the irony is, the Nazi salute is actually the ideal greeting. For the Orthodox Jewish man who wants to avoid shaking hands with women. Think about it, it's a form of social greeting with no physical contact whatsoever. It's perfect, it ticks all the boxes. Can't see it catching on. I think people are confused enough about me at the BBC already. I think it would require a lot of explanation if I also started going around giving everyone a Z card. No amount of chanting noodle kugel is going to negate the Nazi salute. Possibly, are you? By the way, I hope you don't think I'm making this up. This really is my life. You know, only a few months ago, I went for a meeting, and this lady came down to reception to collect me, stuck out her hand, and I said, oh, I'm really sorry, I don't shake hands. And she looked at me a bit offended and said, that sounds rather Islamic. I said, no, Jewish actually, but suit yourself. Basically, there are all these men in media who are getting in trouble at the moment for having been too handsy. I offend women by not being handsy enough. I'm kind of like a Jewish Harvey Weinstein. Don't be fooled by his name, he's not one of ours. No. I'm pretty sure he's Roman Catholic. Now, I don't know about you, but I've only had one drink and I already need the bathroom. So, thank you very much. We're going to take a short break. I'll see you back in about 10-15 minutes. Thank you. You have a good break, David? Amazing? Good. You make it to the loo. I'm so British, I still call it the loo. No one knows what I'm talking about. I say, where's the loo? You know what I'm talking about. You okay, you heard her? Yeah, you're good. Bit non-committal, but it's fine. Okay, good. So what was I talking about, you heard her? Do you remember? What was I last talking about? You can't? Surely you can remember. Not touching hands, exactly. So, not shaking hands at work. Now, the other problem, I forgot actually, the other problem I have at work, of course, is not owning a TV. It means, working in TV, means I am remarkably ill-informed about the business I work in. Honestly, I am so ignorant. Somebody asked me a few years ago if I'd seen The Wire. I thought he was talking about the Eruv. The last TV show I really got into was a show called Lost. Do you remember that show, David? It's a drama on ABC about a plane that crashes on a mysterious island, and I absolutely loved it. I was obsessed with it. In fact, I really want to develop my own version where the plane that crashes is an El Al flight. Just because I really wanted to have a character who spends the entire series going up and down the beach going, you double mincer? You double ninja? We're making a minion at the beach now. We need one more. You double ninja? The only trouble is, of course, if it had been an hour plane, would have made it very difficult for the TV listings. You know, we'd say in TV guides that the show starts at 9 o'clock, but being LL, mine end up starting until 2:30 in the morning. And anyone else, by the way, not got a TV? You look like a man who might not own a TV. Yeah? You don't? Do you have a TV? No. You just watch it on your iPad, don't you? Do you miss TV? You heard? No, with all that learning you do, why would you? Sorry? Nothing to miss. Yeah. Have you ever owned a TV? No, you've never had a TV. You don't know what. Right, exactly. Well, I miss it, Yehuda. I don't mind telling you, I miss TV, and it's always a little bit of a thrill when I get to see it again, which isn't often. But one occasion is when I go to the dentist. I know you Americans think us Brits don't go to the dentist, but some of us do. And we go to a dentist's office where they have TV screens mounted to the ceiling above the dentist's chair, which you're meant to watch, and it distracts you from the pain of any work you haven't done. And that's fine for normal people, but the trouble is for me, it is such a rare treat, that as soon as I start watching it again, I'm immediately hooked back in, and I don't want to stop. You know you've got it bad when you're sat in the dentist's chair and you don't want to get out. Okay, actually, your teeth seem fine, we'll see you again in 6 months. No! Give me a filling! Do some implants, please! There's only 10 minutes left of Maury Povich! No, come on, actually, I've got patients waiting. Niggas, give me a root canal, anything! I can't go now. I'm never going to know whether or not the baby was his! It got so bad, I kept booking dental appointments just to be able to watch TV. After a while, they got sick of me turning up for routine checkups, and I started eating tons of candy to try and get some cavities. In the end, I became morbidly obese. Basically, in order to be able to watch a bit of Jerry Springer, I had to become the kind of person you'd see on Jerry Springer. And it didn't matter what holes I got, because the receptionist got used to my voice. So as soon as they heard it, they didn't want to know. Hello, I urgently need an appointment. Is that Blaker? No, please! Don't put the phone down. I'm absolutely certain I've got to hold this time. Okay, Mr. Blaker, can you make Wednesday at 10 o'clock? Let me have a look. Wednesday, 10 o'clock. Bold and the Beautiful. No, it really does need to be 4:30 for Wheel of Fortune. And you heard it? Do you work? You heard it? That's a tricky Jewish question, isn't it? Only in the Jewish world do people ask each other, do you work? Two non-Jews meet each other, they never say, do you work? Of course I work. You think I sit in a bar all day? Yeah, do you work? No, you don't work. What, you're learning? Yeah, you're in Kollel? Which Kollel are you going to? That they're giving you money that you can afford tickets for this show? You paid for the VIP one, 55, you sit so close. What Kollel are you in? No, what Kollel do you, where is it? You don't have to tell me. In Brooklyn, where? Borough Park? Yeah, Borough Park, okay, very good. Yeah, you learn full time every day? Very good, good for you, good for you. So you don't, obviously you don't need to have any knowledge of TV to do what you're doing. But you can imagine working I'm assuming. I haven't learned in Kollel. It may be the case you just sit there all day going, in the coffee room. Really, that is what's happening. Everyone's talking to you. Yeah, Jochen Brusser, he's into, what's Jochen Brusser into? We'll talk about it later. I think, what a Kollel is this? Some Kollel. I want to be in your, what a life you've got. You go to Kollel, you chat TV, and then you come to the city to watch a comedy show. No Satan tonight? What a life you're leading. I'm going to work. Paying for guys like you. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm conflicted. On the one hand, I want your money. But on the other hand, I'm thinking I'm paying for you to become the city. I don't know how I feel about this. Is this going to keep me awake at night? But you don't need to have any knowledge of TV to do your job, right? But you can imagine working in TV, but not owning a TV, is a little bit challenging. You know, when you go to a meeting and somebody asks, have you seen the new series of Homeland? You can't really say, no, sorry, I haven't seen it, because the dentist closes at 6 o'clock. That's not going to make any sense at all. So what I do now, right, if anyone ever mentions a TV show, I can say, oh, I've not seen it yet, but I got it recorded on the DVR, I just haven't got around to watching it yet. Which sounds simple enough, doesn't it, David? But you can still get caught out with this one. A few months ago, I went to a meeting at the BBC, and the guy I was seeing said to me, what did you think of the glass elevator? And I said, oh, I've got it recorded on the TiVo, I'm just going to try and watch it tonight. Yeah, I think you're ahead of me, David. It turns out there isn't actually a show called The Glass Elevator. He literally meant, what did I think of the glass elevator in New Broadcasting House? I had to start making up the details of this show just to get out of looking like a complete idiot. You haven't heard of the glass elevator? It's a new game show on Fox. Team of contestants stand in a glass elevator, they answer quiz questions, every time they get an answer right, they move up to the next floor. Who's the host? Who's the host? Is Regis Philbin still alive? Yes, Regis Philbin. A quick digression, by the way. David, right? Word association. When I say BBC, what's the first thing you think of?
Anti-Semites.
Anti-Semites! Oh! Politics. No, you know what? Sorry? MS. No, you're right. I mean, people do associate the BBC with, well, more with anti-Zionism, but yeah, people associate the BBC. Yeah, people do associate, you're right, people do associate anti-Semitism and Zionism, which I can't think why, but not a problem I face too much, because I try not to discuss Israel with other people at the BBC. But totally true story this. A couple of years ago was a Shemitah year, you know, the sabbatical year for agriculture they have in Israel every 7 years. And one lunchtime, I asked a runner to go out and get me some fruit. And just as he was leaving, I suddenly remembered about Shemitah, opened up the door of my office and shouted out, please make sure it isn't produce of Israel. Which, as soon as I said it, I realised probably wasn't the cleverest thing to shout out at the BBC. They probably thought I was endorsing a boycott. But happy footnote, I've never been so popular with the BBC as I was that week. So I don't own a TV. And also, to make my work life even harder, I'm too frum to listen to secular music. So when it comes to booking bands and singers on shows, I am completely out of my depth. Because for the last 15 years or so, all I've listened to has been MBD, Avraham Fried and the Miami Boys Choir. Which, let's face it, is not going to be much use if you're working with James Corden. Because I know for a fact that James Corden thinks MBD's been rubbish since Enoch Milfordone. And because I am super frum, I've got lots of extra stringencies when it comes to non-Jewish music. Like, obviously, I never listen to women singing, I never listen to songs with swearing in, I never listen to bread during Pesach. What can I say? I'm super frum. I wouldn't listen to hot chocolate before finding out if they've made with supervised milk. And even then, I wait a full 6 hours after listening to Meatloaf. I only listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers after thoroughly inspecting for bugs. I only listen to the Sex Pistols for 2 weeks out of every month. And even then, I insist on referring to them as the marital relations pistols. What can I say? I'm crazy frum. I wouldn't listen to the Doors before putting up a mezuzah. The Doors, of course, famous for the song Come On Baby Light My Fire, but of course on Shabbos they could only hint. So it became, come on baby, it would be nice if I had a lit fire. What a shame I forgot to light one myself already. And as you can probably tell, I did really used to be into music. And in fact, when I became frum, I did consider that maybe I could produce some kosher versions of all the bands that I used to like. I used to like the Beatles. David, you like the Beatles? Yeah, I think most people would like the Beatles. I love the Beatles. And in fact, I did toy with forming a Hasidic tribute band, the Fab Four Brain, with songs like I Don't Want to Hold Your Hand, I Didn't See Her Standing There, and of course the Bells' favourite, Baby You Can't Drive My Car. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anyone who had both payers and a mop-top haircut. It's a shame, they would have been good. You say shalom, and I say shalom. Shalom, shalom. I don't know why you say shalom, I say shalom. But you know what, it doesn't matter how difficult my work life gets, you can't be depressed when you're Jewish, because there is just too much that's funny in Judaism not to laugh. You know, we have 2 days a year when we're not allowed to wear comfortable shoes. So we all wear Crocs, the world's most comfortable shoe. We celebrate our freedom from slavery by giving ourselves horrendous constipation for 8 days. And we then spend another 8 days shaking a stick and a lemon, which for some reason have cost me $250. We're just a very funny, strange people, and nowhere more so than the frum world. The frum world is unlike anything. You know, in the non-Jewish world, a guy looks outside the window and sees it's raining and thinks, oh, it's raining, don't want to get my hair wet, I better get a hat. In the frum world, a guy looks outside the window and thinks, it's raining, I don't want to get my hat wet, I better get a plastic bag. I love on the bottom of plastic bags, it always says, do not put on your head. And then that's exactly what we do. We don't hold by your laws. The non-Jewish laws do not apply to us. And I'm absolutely convinced it was only blatant anti-Semitism that prompted the British government to bring in a new 10-cent shopping bag charge last year. They saw how we like to use them and thought, there's a gold mine there. Because let's be honest, you're not going to walk down the street with a reusable bag on your head, are you? That said, of course, the bags are now worth 10 cents, so any frum Jew who's kept hold of them has suddenly had a windfall. If you've actually got 4,000, you've actually got enough to buy a new black hat. It's an odd world. Would you agree, Yehuda? It is an odd world, the frum world. One of my favourite parts of the Orthodox world are those very frum Jewish newspapers. You know, like the Hamadiyah and the Flatbush Jewish Journal, that pride themselves in never publishing photos of women, no matter what. Which does kind of make sense when you think about it. Because, of course, if any red-blooded Jewish man ever saw a photo of Theresa May or Angela Merkel, well, who knows what can happen? Hey, Yoda, hey? Merkel, eh? Your eyes say it all, you heard. Even worse, right? Sometimes they will include a photo, but the woman will have been airbrushed out or had her face pixelated. Even the Queen, a 92-year-old great-grandmother. Which really makes no sense at all for me, because if I want to catch a cheeky glimpse of the Queen, I just take my money out my pocket. I don't know what the Orthodox world would ever do in the United States if they ever replaced Alexander Hamilton with Madeleine Albright. The frum rabbis would have to ban everyone from using the new $10 bill. You know, if you go into a store and buy something for $90, you have to say, keep the change. But so many odd things in Judaism that bother me. Now, I've always wondered, right, when did sushi suddenly become a Jewish food? It's the strangest thing. When I was growing up, right, Jewish food was prepared by an overweight, sweaty man with a long beard dipping in and out of the chicken soup. Now, Jewish food is prepared by a Japanese man stood chopping raw fish all day. And Jews can't do anything without sushi. Kiddush, education, eventual, social, we must have sushi. We need a platter of sushi. You can't go to a shiva now without them bringing out sushi. What was wrong with gefilte fish? I'm Jewish. I love gefilte fish. You know, as far as I'm concerned, fish should be rolled into a ball and then boiled with a carrot on top. But what do I know? Maybe sushi was always a Jewish food. Maybe our ancestors in the shtetl loved a bit of sushi. Maybe if you went back to 19th century Vilna, you ever hear somebody saying, Yankala, when you go to the market today, don't forget the seaweed. I'm making salmon urimaki for dinner. No, but I don't think so. You know, I haven't seen Fiddler on the Roof for years. But I don't remember Topol celebrating his daughter's engagement with a spicy tuna and avocado roll. And the Japanese sushi chefs are everywhere. They're in every Jewish supermarket. You've got your frozen products, you've got your dry goods, got your milk and cheese in the fridge, got your Japanese man making sushi. Then they moved into the bakeries. So in my neighbourhood they sell bread, obviously. Cakes, makes sense. Sushi makes no sense at all. Where are they going to be next? I'm sure the Judaica stores aren't going to be free enough for long. Got your section of Chomashim, section of Sidurim, Jewish history books, Kippan Tzitzis, Japanese man making sushi. Then it'll be the hat shop. Got your wider in black hats, Strymals, Japanese man making sushi. I'd love to think in Japan, go into any of their food stores, you'll find a fat rabbi in the corner boiling corned beef. Right now, there's a Japanese stand-up comedian going, when did we all become obsessed with chicken soup with lokshen and kaneglach? I actually like sushi, but I don't mind proper kosher sushi restaurants. The ones that I really have an issue with are those kosher pizza stores that then sell sushi. Because those are two foods that don't go together. You know, have you ever heard any Italian going, hey Luigi? That's my Italian accent, Dave. Hey Luigi, roll me a yellow ternigiri, like a mama used to make. Italian and Japanese don't belong together. The only time they've ever joined forces was World War II. And that didn't end well either. I always think the strangest place for sushi is at Briss Miller. Because you know it's only a matter of time before somebody thinks, we've got the Japanese sushi chef stood there chopping the rolls. Seems like a waste of money to pay for a mower as well. We've got 4 sons, and we didn't have sushi at any of their Briss Millers. But this is so strange, I feel I've got to share this with you. After my eldest son's bris, the mower handed me a tissue with my son's foreskin in it. And I said, what do you want me to do with it? And I promise this is true. He said it's customary to take it and bury it in the garden. You ever heard of that? You heard of it? This is what he said, bury it in the garden. He didn't say whether it's for good luck or just to give squirrels the strangest snack they'll ever have. A week later I was at work and I'd forgotten it was in that tissue. And when I sneezed, I thought half my nose had fallen off. Oh, my septum! Oh, thank God it's just a foreskin. Try explaining that sentence to your colleagues. But this is what he said, bury it in the garden. So like a complete idiot, I actually went and did it. And I actually kept watering it to see what would happen. Whatever you do, don't try it. Because 2 years later, we had a 6-foot-tall Gentile growing in our back garden. His name's Keith. He's actually a very nice man. Such a strange religion. And the trouble is for me is that I keep spotting all the funny things. So I remember once it was Yom Kippur and I thought, right, holiest day of the year, not going to think about anything funny, I'm just going to try and pray with extra concentration. So I turned to the back of the Art Scroll Machta, where they got the expanded vidoi, you know, the confession, the Ashamnu, Pagadnu, all of that. And I had a little bit of a shock. And I quote, Lutsnu, we have joked about serious matters, we have tried to find a springboard for humour in every topic. I thought, that's not a sin, that's my job description. And I do find it hard to switch off even when I'm in shul. Now I remember a few weeks ago it was Parshas Teruma. You probably don't know this, Yehuda, but it's part of the Torah. I don't know what to make of you, because you're sat in the tea room all day, talking TV, coming to comedy shows in the evening. No, you know, it's the part of the Torah that talks about the building of the Mishkan, you know, the tabernacle, the portable temple they had in the wilderness, and it just goes on and on and on. To build the Mishkan, you've got to take planks of wood, and you've got to take loops of wool, and you take silver sockets and gold sockets. You take 5 planks, you take together, you take 6 planks, you take together, you fold the 6th one inward, you put 2 gold sockets at the top, you put 2 silver sockets at the bottom. And I'm thinking, blimey, I thought IKEA furniture was hard to put together. They made the Mishkan from these instructions. You know, it goes on, then you take a tachash hide, then you take a shit in wood. And I'm saying it's been incredibly inadequate, because I can't even manage a Billy bookcase on my own without calling my father. And it's particularly amazing as well when you consider presumably they built the Mishkan just using an Allen wrench. Although I would love to think, it doesn't say it in the Torah, but maybe it's a midrash, I'd love to think they finished building the Mishkan Look behind, what do you know, there's a couple of cherubs left over. No idea where they go. Got to take the whole thing apart and start again. I mean, it's wrong, isn't it? I know it's wrong, but this is my shop this morning. Now, I remember once it was Parshas told us, see, part of the Torah is all about the feud between Jacob and Esau. And I was sat there thinking, wow, if they were around today, this would have made a very entertaining episode of the Jerry Springer Show. This morning on Jerry Springer, my brother stole my birthright and all I got was a bowl of lentil soup. And shuls are quite funny places, would you agree, David? And I've been privileged to go to shuls all over the world. And something I've discovered, they're actually all the same. And you get the same people in all of them. You know, obviously there's the rabbi, there's the gaboyim, there's the security man, there's that man who thinks he's really interesting because he always wears a bow tie to shul. Every shul's got one, but not more than one. You know, if you move to a new shul and finally got a bow tie man already, tough luck. You've got to wait for him to move away or die. Is he in tonight, by the way? Is he? No, he's not. I don't get it. You know, bow ties should be worn with a tuxedo. The only other time it's acceptable to wear one is if you're A, male stripper, or B, a member of the Nation of Islam. Now, considering you're very unlikely to see Magic Mike or Louis Farrakhan in your shul, there really is no excuse for this. The other one, of course, you see in every shul is the candy man. And I do take my hat off to the candy men for keeping going. Because with all the stories you read in the newspapers nowadays, I would be too scared to be known as the man who hands out candy to children. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure it's always completely innocent, but you can't be too careful nowadays. That's why in some shuls they throw the candy. Nothing to do with there being a simcha, it's because no one wants to be accused of doing anything dodgy. So they just chuck the candy as far as they can, so don't get it over there, don't come anywhere near me. And I mentioned, of course, the gaboyim, and one thing I've noticed about gaboyim is, we got any gaboyim in tonight? No, okay, but one thing I've noticed about gaboyim, doesn't matter what shul you're in, doesn't even matter what language they speak in the country you're in. Go to any shul in the world, and they all use the same hand gestures. Now, no matter what shul you go to any shul in the world, and you'll find that this means this, and then this, opening and closing the Yarn Kodesh. Oddly, for variety, the gabbai in my shul doesn't do this. He does this. The first time he did it to me, I genuinely thought he was asking me to go and flush the toilet. The other one you see, I wonder if you know this, you heard it, right? Talking of hand gestures. I think they only do this in very, very orthodox shuls. Right? This is what they do in mine. Do you know the air handshake? Do you know what that is? This is what they do in my shul. Yeah, this is what they do in my shul. Right? If somebody gets like an aliyah or a mitzvah, instead of going over to them and shaking their hand like a normal person, what you do is you catch their eye and go. Why would you do that? Do you have leprosy? Did the gabbai just ask you to flush the toilet and you forgot to wash your hands? And where in Flatbush, Barrow, where is it? Barrow, okay. So I'm assuming it's a very orthodox shul you go to, you heard it. Because one thing you won't like this, you heard it. But no, something I've discovered is the frummer the shul, the greater the number of unusual people. Would you agree? Because you'd agree with that. No, it's true. Because I know you're meant to pray with passion and concentration. But it seems to me that if you want to be really free, you've got to develop a habit that not only shows everyone just how into davening you are, but also disturbs everyone else's concentration at the same time. So there's one guy in my shul, right, whose thing is exaggerated sighing. Right, just imagine you're in the middle of a silent prayer, you're trying really hard to concentrate, and suddenly you hear, ah! Now, is it me you heard it? Is that not incredibly off-putting? I would think it's exactly the same sound as someone relaxing in a hot bubble bath. And he's not even the worst, not even close. There's another guy, right, whose thing is completely random clapping right in the middle of a silent prayer. He just stands there doing this. I always turn around to see what he's applauding. I would think maybe the bow tie man really is a male stripper. just done an impressive routine. Then there's another guy whose thing is totally and utterly psychotic jumping. Just spends the whole of the service doing this. It's like he stood on a little trampoline. Then there's another guy who shows he's from through sudden jerks. And this guy really disturbs me because they follow no discernible pattern whatsoever. You can't prepare yourself for this one. So I'm standing there trying really hard to concentrate and block out the sighing, clapping and jumping. And then at the corner of my eye, I suddenly see I'm not doing it justice. It's a bit like somebody receiving electroshock therapy, which coincidentally this guy needs to stop him doubling like a complete nutcase. Oh, and then we've got the walkers. We've got several of these men who don't seem to be able to grasp the concept of standing roughly in the vicinity of their seat. Instead, they spend the whole of the service just walking up and down. I can only assume they're all carrying a Fitbit and are trying to catch up on their daily steps. And some of them can't even walk properly. There is one man in my show who absolutely refuses to ever lift his feet off the ground. Instead, he spends the whole of Shuckers just shuffling along like a zombie. It's horrendous. I feel like I'm in an episode of The Walking Dead. One day, I'm going to bring hammer and nails and I'm going to pin his feet to the ground. Now stand there and stop walking around. Trouble is, of course, the last time a Jew had nails put through his feet, people started worshipping him, so it might not be a good idea. So we've got sighing, we've got clapping, we've got jumping, we've got jerking, we've got walking, we've got shuffling. And then to top it all, sitting about 5 meters from me, I have a man continually passing gas. Now sometimes I don't hear them, but I get an early warning because the men stood right in the blast zone run over to an open window. Often he's firing blanks and there's no smell, but you can't take the risk. And at least that's better than the silent but deadlies. No sound, but a smell that could drop an elephant. And my muzzle, he reserves these right for the start of the Kedusha. You smell it and your feet are ready together. Too late this round. Now all you can do is hope the chazan is quick. If you've got a chazan who likes the sound of his own voice, you're in big trouble. No one can hold their breath that long. That's why in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur I go to a different shul. I can't take the risk. But it's no wonder we have so many odd people, you heard, because we do have a lot of odd commandments. I mean, you know that, you're learning Torah today, there are some odd commandments. You know, thou shalt not take the mother bird with her young. Thou shalt not sow different types of seed in one field. Thou shalt drive your car very badly. That's one of the mitzvahs, isn't it? I think it's got to be. Because if you want to be properly from, you've got to be able to drive your car absolutely abysmally. And in order to make yourself an even bigger hazard to other road users, you've got to do it in as large a car as possible. Driving badly in a little smart car is one thing. If you want to be properly from, you've got to be in a Dodge Caravan at the very least. And we have some terrible drivers in the front world. I was talking to a guy in my shul recently who was telling me how he just lost his license. And this man, let's call him David Cohen, right? Not his real name. His real name's Paul Fungo. Sorry, just sit down. So this man, let's call him Paul Feingold, I've said it now. He said to me, I'm actually a really good driver. It's just that I get very distracted by emails and text messages. Yeah, that's what means you're not a good driver. Yeah, I'm a really good chef. It's just that I keep confusing salad dressing and rat poison. Now, I don't mind telling you, I'm not the best driver in the world. I'm definitely not. I passed my test in 1993 on a car with a stick shift, and I've only ever driven an automatic since. Because let's be honest, automatic cars are Jewish, stick shift cars are Goyish. Why would I want to use both of my legs when there's an option to use just one? When it comes to driving, all I care is how long it's going to take me to get there and where am I going to park when I arrive. What gears the car uses on the way, you know what? I'm happy for the car to decide. In fact, the only time in the last 25 years I have driven a car with a stick shift, it was about 2 years ago. I took my car to the garage for the annual service and I asked for a courtesy car. And when I turned up, they said they didn't have any automatics left, so I'd have to take one with a stick shift. Well, trust me, David, you have never seen anything quite as tragic as my attempts to move this car. It made a couple of jerks down the road, like 2 meters, before the mechanic ran out with the keys to an automatic. I said, I thought you didn't have any left. He said, yeah, we found one. I think my attempt to drive this car was so pathetic he was willing to give me someone else's car. I've never felt more Jewish in all my life. But apart from that, I think I'm an okay driver. And in fact, when I became frum, I was already in my late 20s. I'd already been driving for over 10 years. So I was a little bit concerned. Because let's face it, nothing is going to mark you out as a newcomer more than being a decent driver. So I was so worried about this, I actually spent 6 months attending driving lessons, how to drive frum. It was a very good course, and it covered lots of interesting questions, like what to do if you're going out to the butcher and there isn't any parking available. You don't park your car 5-minute walk away. You just stop your car right in the middle of the road, and as long as you put your hazard lights on, you can go in and get your meat. Who knew? Apparently you can even go into the supermarket and do the rest of your shopping as well. You can leave it a good half an hour like that. Basically, as long as you put your hazard lights on, you can stop your car wherever you like. Driving up the I-95, suddenly remember you haven't done, fine, hazard lights on and out you go. We also covered some interesting questions, like how many children you can fit in every make and model of car. Apparently you need to know this if you're ever driving a school car. So, for example, the answer for a 5-seater is 13 children plus the driver. It's quite a skill actually, it's a bit like playing Jenga. You have 3 sat in the back, then 3 across horizontally, then 3 more vertically, then 3 more horizontally. Do it properly, you can fit 14 people in a car in a way that can't be spotted by any passing police vehicles. We also covered lots of the road signs. So, for example, there's this one, which of course means parking permitted at all times. Can be confusing that, because parking permitted at all times can also be indicated by that. By that. And by that. Then also something, I'd be interested to know if you know any of these signs you've heard of. There's that one. That's Flashik, no milk for 6 hours. That one, your sukkah isn't kosher if it's above that height. Mikveh ahead. No learning Gemara. In fact, this is a tricky one. I'd be interested to know if you know what this is, David, right? Interested to know if you know what this is. Do you know what that is, David? Does anyone know what that is? Tough one, that. That's actually this. Hillary Clinton ahead. But they published it in the Flatbush Jewish Journal, so it had to become this. But, it's good. Do you like living in Borough Park? You don't like it? No, I like. Why don't you like it? You're really where? From Pico? Or? From Pico? Look at that knowledge. What knowledge I've got there? Yeah, you're from Pico. Okay. So no, but Pico's quite similar, isn't it? I mean, it's sunnier, I guess. But no, it's not like that. Okay, I would thought it's quite similar. But no, I love living in a frum neighbourhood because of all the amenities we have. For example, we have in my neighbourhood just started this excellent service called Hatzalah, which I'm sure you know is basically the Jewish ambulance service. And it's an amazing organisation, Hatzalah, for 2 reasons. Number one, the responders are all volunteers. You know, they've got other jobs, this is just a voluntary side. And number two, they are remarkably quick. Call Hatzalah, they will be round your house in a matter of minutes, even quicker than if you call 911. And I was thinking about this, right? And I realised that one of the responders in our neighbourhood happens to be a plumber. In fact, this is the guy we call when our toilet's clogged. And typical plumber, he never answers the phone. Then you do get hold of him, he doesn't turn up when he says he will. Then he does come, he charges you a fortune. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do, right? Next time we got a problem, I'm going to find out when he's on duty, feign a heart attack, and call Hatzalah. It was brilliant. I had this plumber round our house in under 2 minutes. I was lying on the floor going, yeah, I've got incredible chest pain every time I try and flush the toilet. Also, they work in pairs, so if you're lucky, he might bring the IT guy with him. Yeah, I've also got agony in my side every time I try and reboot the laptop. Just have a look at it for me. Now, the worst aspect actually about living in a frum neighbourhood actually isn't the driving. It's simply that there aren't enough non-Jewish people. You see, one of the aspects of Shabbos that I find most difficult is you've got to remember to sort your lights properly. You know, I've forgotten in the past to turn the lights on in our dining room, which means we have to eat around meals in the dark, and I've forgotten to turn the lights off in our bedroom, which means we have to try and get to sleep in a brightly lit room. Now, if you've got non-Jewish neighbours, not a problem. Go and knock on their door, they'll come in and sort it out for you. But I live in a very frum neighbourhood. All my neighbours are Jews. Obviously, there's Keith at the bottom of the garden. But he's rooted in the earth. So he isn't much use when it comes to stuff like this. So when I found myself in this situation, there has been nothing else for it but to go and stand on the street in front of my house and try and find somebody to lure inside. Now remember, you're not allowed to ask any Jews to come and do it. But I think it's a bit rude to go up to someone and saying, "Oh, are you Jewish?" So to make sure I don't do that, and because you also can't take the risk that there might be some Ethiopian Jews living in the area, I am now stood on the street in front of my house, specifically looking for an Indian or Pakistani man. Now most of them see me ahead and just cross straight over to the other side. And those that do stop are absolutely terrified when I try to entice them in. Because with all the hinting I have to do, I come across like a kind of Jewish Hannibal Lecter. Would you mind coming inside my house? There's something I need you to see. I'm not going to chop you up and keep you in my fridge. It's like the silence of the Paschal lambs. I like a chopped with fava beans and a mavushka candy. The worst is when I've left the lights on in our bedroom. Would you mind coming upstairs to our bedroom? There's something I'd like to show you. I've had to wait a good 3 hours to find someone brave enough to come up to my bedroom. I just know one day I'm going to see a feature about me on UK's Most Wanted. Viewers are advised to be on the lookout for a potential serial killer in London. Police say the suspect has a dangerously obsessive predilection for Indian and Pakistani men. Try explaining that one to the police. I am not attracted to Asian men. When I asked him to come in for a turn-on, I was talking about the lights. It's not easy keeping Shabbos, is it? And even worse, like, the rabbis keep coming up with new commandments all the time. Like, one of the biggest ones at the moment seems to be, "Thou shalt not use the internet." Because there is nothing that the frum rabbis get more worked up about than the internet. They are very concerned. I've seen them tweet about it all the time. And the general line seems to be, you shouldn't have the internet or smartphone. And if you do have to have them because of your work, you should have so many filters that any possibility of having any fun using them has been taken away. And the upshot is you now get people competing over how backwards their phones are. Have you seen my new phone? This phone is so kosher, it can't receive text messages. Ah, that's rubbish. My new cell phone is so kosher, it can't even make phone calls. It's just a very expensive flashlight. And actually, I've got the new iPhone, the iPhone X, and the great thing is with this one, is they've made it fully waterproof. So if you do end up using it to look at anything inappropriate, you can just take it to the mikveh and purify it. Quite good actually. I did immerse my phone in the mikveh, and I can tell you happily it did still work afterwards. The only downside is my phone now has athlete's foot. Do you have a smartphone? I'm dread asking with all the, yeah, you do? Yeah, you do everything. I bet you've got the new iPhone XS, haven't you? What colour is this? When can I join it? But there are some people, you got filters? No, you haven't. Sorry? How did you find the show? Good luck. Well, I'm glad you don't have a filter then. Well, some people, right, you heard, are so frum, they feel the filters aren't enough. There are some people who are so strict, they feel if I have to have the internet, not only am I going to have filters, but since there are 613 commandments in the Torah, I need to get myself an email address with the number 613. So all these people with email addresses like ashleyblaker613@gmail.com. Now, how insecure do you have to be to think, so, you know what, the kippah, the SITSs, the payers, they're not quite doing it. People might be confused about me. I need to really go for it and get a from email address as well. You think anyone's ever thought, well, you know that Shmuel Cohen? I wasn't quite sure if he kept shoppers. But now I see his email address is shmuelcohen613, I know that he does. And I wouldn't mind, it's not like any of these people have actually done all 613 commandments. Have you killed any Amalekites? I wouldn't even know where to find any Amalekites. And even if I did, I'd be too scared to go anywhere near them. A few years ago, a woman gave me her email address after the show, and it was something like estherlevy613@AOL.com. And I thought, now that's cheeky. She's a woman. She's not obliged to do any of the time-down pictures. You know, she wasn't a Cohen, she wasn't a Levi, she didn't live in the land of Israel, she didn't live in the time of the temple. It should have been Esther Levy 300 at most. And if you were that from, you wouldn't even have an email address. How much better does it sound when someone says, what's your email? Say, email? Voz's email. Having a 613 email address is a bit like saying, yeah, do eat cheeseburgers, but only if the buns are Pas Yisrael. This is just so Jewish. No other religion would do something like this. You know, do you think there are Muslims that have got 72 in their email for the number of virgins they'll get in heaven? Or Mormons who've got 36 for the number of Donny Osmond albums? This is just what we're like. We love making our lives as challenging as possible. So, for example, on the one hand, we've got all these amazing festivals, but on the other hand, we love overcomplicating them and making them completely impossible to enjoy. That's why I always think non-Jewish people have it easy. I sometimes hear people say, oh, Christmas is their Yom Tov. No, it's not. Non-Jews like Christmas. You know, if Christmas really was a Yom Tov, they would absolutely hate it. Because there'd be so many restrictions, they wouldn't be allowed to do any of the things they like doing at Christmas. You know, if Christmas really was a Yom Tov, they wouldn't be allowed to drive over to family and friends for Christmas lunch. They'd have to walk. They wouldn't be able to give each other Christmas presents unless they could be used on the day itself and require no assembly. But if you've wrapped them, you can't unwrap them because that's going to be tearing. And definitely not if the wrapping paper has words on, because that counts as erasing. You can't go and read your Christmas cards in case you're tempted to write a reply. And definitely not if the cards are funny, because that takes away from the sanctity of the day. Your meal is now on a hot plate, which means it doesn't really get warm enough or it's completely burnt. And if you don't like roast parsnips, don't try and pick them out from the roast potatoes, because that's salty. If it snows and it's a white Christmas, your children can't go outside and make snowmen, because that's building. And your Christmas lights now have to be on a time switch. And if you forget to turn them on, you have to wander the streets looking for a Christmas Jew. Looking for a Christmas Jew to come in and turn them on for you. But remember, you can't ask him direct. You've got to hint and say things like, would be lovely to have Christmas lights on at my life. What a shame I forgot to turn them on already. And of course, if you live outside of Israel, you've got to observe 2 days of Christmas. Because the news didn't travel from Bethlehem, that the Son of God had been born until the next day. So now you've got to have second day Christmas, you've got to have your Christmas meal again, you've got to watch It's a Wonderful Life again. And every single person right across the country is sat there going, surely this 2 days of Christmas is now outdated. Because now we know for certain which day's the 25th and which day's the 26th. Which of course would be very good news for the Jews, because no one else would be allowed to go to the December 26th sales, so the shops would be completely empty and we get all the bargains. But seriously, non-Jews would absolutely hate Yom Tov, because we have such totally different approaches to our holidays. You only have to compare our respective New Years to see how we are able to suck the joy out of any festival. You know, they're having a great time, counting down to midnight, then going mad. My shul starts the New Year's service at 8 in the morning and doesn't finish until 3:30 in the afternoon. New Year is a big celebration, Goyish. New Year is a day of judgment, Jewish. Getting ready for New Year by having a nice shower at home, Goyish. Getting ready for New Year by going in a bath that 300 men have already been in, and catching athlete's foot, Jewish. Eating good food at New Year, Goyish. Having to eat the head of a fish, Jewish. Throwing yourself in the water at New Year, Goyish. Throwing your sins in the water at New Year, Jewish. Thinking it's New Year, who am I going to kiss, Goyish. Thinking, who will die at his predestined time? Who will die before his predestined time? Jewish. Thinking it's New Year, great, I need to take on some good resolutions, Goyish. Thinking it's New Year, which means next week it's Yom Kippur, and the service is even longer. Jewish. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne? Goyish. Jewish. Now, an older comedian once gave me some very good advice. He said to me, if it's going badly, get off. If it's going well, get off. Yeah. So, that's, I'm on to a winner either way. But a few things I need to say before I go. Firstly, a very big thank you to everyone at Stand Up New York for hosting us tonight. Now, I am on social media. Are you on social media as well? You are! What social media? Twitter. What is this colour? Is there a reform code? We look like a reconstructionist. I've got to get into your colour. I tell you what, sometimes people say to me, I envy your life. I envy your life. Wow, what a... Anyway, seriously, I am on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, what have you. So please look me up, send me a friend request, follow me, we can stay in touch. Now, that reminds me, very quickly. My rabbi seemed a bit concerned that I wasn't going to be his shir for a while. And I'm not entirely sure he believed my excuse for not coming. So I just wanted to take a selfie with the entire audience in the background. So let me just go and get my selfie stick. Hang on one second. You know, I spent $250 on this, and the Bluetooth still doesn't work. So, you know what, I'll use this one instead. It's quite good, actually. I won this in Muswell Hill at Yom Kippur. You're not smiling, you heard? You have some waving? There you go. So, seriously, thank you for coming. If you enjoyed it, my name's actually Blaker. If you didn't enjoy it, my name's Rabbi Sachs. Thank you very much. Have a safe journey home.